Thanks for joining us right here on This Is Now. First today, President Biden has been warning Israel for weeks that the U.S. does not support a planned invasion of the southern Gaza city of Rafah.
Now the president has ordered a hold on U.S. weapons being sent to Israel that he says would be used to kill innocent civilians, and that is facing some criticism. Natalie Brand explains.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Thursday, quote, "If we have to stand alone, we will stand alone." This comes as President Biden has warned the U.S. will not provide weapons for a Rafah offensive over concerns of civilian casualties in the southern Gaza city, where more than 1 million Palestinians are sheltering.
Major military operation in Rafah would further weaken Israel's standing in the world, would further create distance from its partners in the region who actually share Israel's goal of seeing Hamas defeated.
The Biden administration this week has paused a shipment of thousands of bombs to Israel, a move congressional Republicans say emboldens Hamas.
When your enemy takes the people they represent and use them as pawns to drive up the casualty rate to hope the world turns on you, you don't want to reinforce that model.
We asked Senator Lindsey Graham about congressional Democrats' concerns Israel may be violating U.S. military aid requirements, with a report on their compliance expected soon.
So what I would say is let's listen to see what the State Department says. As
the White House pushes to accelerate humanitarian aid to civilians, the first shipment of supplies left Cyprus Thursday, headed to the new U.S.-built pier off Gaza. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Tensions are mounting at a university in Cleveland, Ohio, where pro-Palestinian protesters were spray painted by contractors who are covering up graffiti on a spirit wall. The university is investigating. Bree Buckley has the details.
Peacefully standing in front of a wall.
Outrage over this video.
God, they're gonna love this.
A contractor at Case Western painting over students refusing to move from a Palestinian mural the group painted.
I'm deeply disheartened and saddened that our administrators are willing to condone painting over a student to silence a message, to silence an identity, to silence expression.
This was on the school's spirit wall, labeled as a space for expression to take place. Case Western President Eric Kaler saying the painting was threatening and intimidating to some in the campus community, saying another painting on a campus advocacy wall was anti-Semitic. Protest organizer Jad Oglesby disagrees and says he's seen hate speech last longer.
Those messages were able to stay on that spirit wall longer than a beautifully drawn Palestinian mural.
The protesters again taking to the streets.
Disclose, divest, we will not stop, we will not rest.
Calling on the university president to divest from Israel and grant amnesty to students, faculty, and staff participating in the protests, among a number of other demands.
We are here because we understand that asking our university to not be invested in a genocide is something very reasonable.
The group protesting outside the administration building, plastering posters to it.
It seems as though they still completely don't care.
Last week, the university said the encampment, now on day 10, was no longer approved and is considered trespassing.
The first day we were here was considered trespassing, and the stakes haven't changed. We understand the stakes, but what we're advocating for is worth it for all of us here.
Now to the latest on a stabbing in Waipio. It happened at around 10:50 p.m. on Uke'e Street. That's when HPD says a man got into an argument with a former coworker who allegedly stabbed him with a knife in the torso. The 33-year-old man was treated at the scene and refused transport to the hospital. The suspect, a 27-year-old woman, was arrested. She faces a charge of second-degree assault. Kona native Newton Kaleo De Leon has been sentenced to nearly 5 years in federal prison for defrauding 48 investors to fund gambling sprees in Las Vegas. The 48-year-old pleaded guilty to stealing more than $1.2 million by running a fake flower business for several years. The feds say De Leon fabricated purchase orders and contracts while promising friends he would share profits that never materialized. De Leon will also have to pay twice the amount he stole in restitution and fines. After 22 days of testimony, federal prosecutors in the Keith Kaneshiro bribery trial have rested their case. Their final witness, Laurice Otsuka, took the stand yesterday. The FBI accountant testified about bank deposits and campaign donations to the former city prosecutor. She showed the jury checks that were sent to political campaigns from people who said they had never made those contributions. Kaneshiro is accused of taking bribes from employees of the engineering firm Mitsunaga and Associates, and in return pursuing charges against a former employee who had a falling out with the bosses.
The prosecution always wants to end strong. And while numbers may blur everybody's eyes once in a while, this kind of summary witness who can really pinpoint how money was donated, who donated it, and versus bank accounts that didn't have the money in it, very powerful for a jury.
In cross-examination, the defense said Otsuka's spreadsheets were skewed to help the government and didn't give the overall picture of campaign donations. They also pointed out one mistake in the data. Defense attorneys expect to rest their case early next week. Adult film star Stormy Daniels gave more combative testimony on the stand today in former President Donald Trump's hush money trial in New York. Michael George has the latest.
On the stand Thursday, Stormy Daniels gave more details about her alleged sexual encounter with Donald Trump. The adult film star testified she felt shock and surprise when she came back to the Lake Tahoe hotel room in 2006 and saw Trump on the bed. She called it a power shift because she earlier felt she had control of the situation. The former president's lawyers repeatedly accused her of fabricating the story. "You're making this up, right?" said one defense lawyer, to which Daniels replied, "No."
This is purely and simply election interference. There is no case.
The presumptive Republican presidential nominee once again railed against the charges. He's accused of falsifying business records in connection with payments to his former lawyer, Michael Cohen. Prosecutors say Cohen was given $130,000 to buy Daniels' silence ahead of the 2016 election. Trump's lawyers argue the money was to cover Cohen's legal fees.
This is about, they're trying to prosecute this guy for how something was recorded, and that's all it is.
Florida Senator Rick Scott joined Trump in court Thursday.
This is just pure political persecution.
The next witness on the stand was a junior Trump Organization bookkeeper. Rebecca Minocchio testified she sent checks to the White House about once a week to get Trump's signature. Prosecutors say Trump personally signed 9 of the checks reimbursing Cohen. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
After weeks of threats, an effort by conservative Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene to oust Speaker Mike Johnson from his post has failed. This comes after an overwhelming number of both Republicans and Democrats voted to block the effort. NBC's Ryan Nobles has more from Capitol Hill.
After weeks of posturing and threats, Marjorie Taylor Greene finally made her move and was met with a chorus of boos. The Republican firebrand, close with former President Trump, dramatically failed in her attempt to remove Speaker Mike Johnson from his post after an overwhelming number of Democrats voted with Republicans to block her effort. Democrats decided to bail Johnson out after the Speaker bucked conservatives like Greene and put funding for Ukraine on the floor. The still Speaker calling on his colleagues to turn the page.
Hopefully this is the end of the personality politics and the frivolous character assassination that has defined the 118th Congress.
A message the vast majority of Republicans agree with.
And the reality of this is this is like the congressional version of a temper tantrum. And we continue to do it.
Even Trump pushed back against Greene, encouraging his supporters to defend Johnson. But the Georgia Congresswoman, even in defeat, found a way to claim victory.
This Republican Party is not ready, and they proved it today. As a matter of fact, they proved they're ready to do everything with the Democrats.
While the Democratic leader declaring that a small group of right-wing Republicans will no longer dominate the Congress.
We need more common sense and less chaos in Washington, D.C. Marjorie Taylor Greene and extreme MAGA Republicans are chaos agents. House Democrats are change agents.
The newest member of the state labor board is a man who spent more than 2 years in federal prison. Stacy Moniz was convicted of tax evasion 24 years ago and lost his law license. But during his recent confirmation hearing, only one person said he should not have been on the board. Moniz's many supporters said he used the scandal as motivation to improve his character.
No matter how dark it gets or how bad the situation appears, right? There's always hope. And you got to rely on your family. You got to rely on your faith. And you got to just keep pushing forward.
I think you are very much forthright, open, honest. And I think what you have shared today is deserving.
Moniz was unanimously confirmed to the position, which pays $145,000 a year. His term lasts until 2029. New at noon, it's official. Miss Hawaii USA Savannah Gankowicz of Maui will be the next Miss USA. The organization announcing this morning that she has accepted the role just days after Noelia Voigt resigned, citing mental health issues. And this wasn't the only shakeup for the organization. Also resigning from her reign this week was Miss Teen USA Umasovia Servastava. She's stepping down, saying her personal values no longer fully align with the direction of the organization. All of these changes are stirring concern over what's going on behind the scenes and how these title holders are being treated. Gankowicz will assume the role and be crowned here in Hawaii on May 15th. Now to a story out of Manoa, where a developer wants to build about 100 new homes on a former Catholic school campus. However, some Manoa residents say they're not on board with this. Our Ben Gutierrez reports.
The St. Francis School campus has been closed since the last graduating class in 2019. A developer wants to use this property for residential units, but that's getting pushback from Manoa neighbors. The 11-acre campus on the east side of the valley is already zoned for residential use. The Avalon Group bought it for $23.5 million and wants to turn it into Aria Lane Manoa with 76 single-family homes and 26 townhomes. Prices haven't been set.
We'd like to have, affordable housing that we can deliver, as well as market housing, so at all levels, and this project allows us to do that.
CEO Christine Camp called the meeting to answer questions from curious and even anxious neighbors. Some worry that added housing will increase traffic congestion on the narrow road that leads to the land.
The reality is we need to be reasonable about what we put down that street, because it's a it's a single-lane road functionally. So, I mean, you guys think about it.
Building 100 houses at the end of this dangerous intersection and into a dead-end road is just way too many people, too much more people coming into that area.
Camp says her company commissioned a traffic study showing there would be fewer cars on that road during morning and afternoon rush hours than there were when St. Francis School was operating. But residents are skeptical.
I think it's very much understated what the traffic will be, and they're just talking about morning and night, but there's going to be traffic all day long when you have that many units, that many people.
The project also has supporters. Camp says the property sale was approved by the Pope himself and the Bishop of Honolulu, and some welcome new homes.
That they're building houses for young families, starter homes, and I think that's a big gap in Manoa, because Manoa is the greatest place to live, and we should give more opportunities to people to live here and to buy homes.
Manoa needs housing, because it's a mature community, right? And traffic has always been a concern. But if not here, where?
Camp says Aria Lane Manoa is still in the concept stages and that Avalon Group is holding 3 more gatherings like this one in the coming weeks. In Manoa, Ben Gutierrez, Hawaii News Now.
And authorities in Maine are investigating after millions of dollars worth of fentanyl was apparently mailed to the wrong address by mistake. A resident of Winslow reached out to police last week after getting a package from California, but had not ordered anything and was not expecting anything. It contained bags of pills. Then another package of pills arrived the next day. Police said combined, they contain nearly 30 pounds of the synthetic opioid. The potential street value is up to $2 million.
All right, let's take a live look outside now with our tower cam. This is looking over Punch Bowl. We have a couple of first alert weather days coming up, but some parts of the state could see severe weather impacts as early as tonight. Guys, gonna have your full forecast after this quick break.
How's it on this Thursday? Get ready for some wet weather. The first alert is for this disturbance expected into the state as early as tonight. We're expecting some heavy rainfall, maybe some thunderstorms tomorrow and on Saturday. A slight easing in those conditions expected on Mother's Day. Now today we'll see a few scattered showers, but the heavy rainfall not really expected. Maybe a few spotty downpours. Again, widespread rain not expected until maybe later tonight, Friday and Saturday. First alert weather days on Saturday. Now we've got these winds. They're going to be running light, and that will allow for some afternoon clouds and some afternoon showers. But we're not expecting a lot of rain today, at least for the better part of the day. And again, as that front moves closer, we're going to see more showers starting tonight. And as far as the surf heads up, we've got a sizable swell rolling into south and west shores, and with the light winds, conditions will be good. But keep in mind, that's some dangerous wave heights. Wave faces running 6 to 8 feet. So again, a first alert for Friday and Saturday. When that stormy disturbance comes in, we could get some thunderstorms tomorrow night, and the heavy rainfall expected on Saturday as well, especially for the east of the state. We're talking Maui County and the Big Island. The flood potential will be rising Friday and Saturday, and then slowly the moisture will ease up, although it's still going to be damp and cloudy on Mother's Day, and the leftover showers will likely linger into the middle of next week.
Now to some news from the feeds. Americans remain gloomy about the housing market. According to a new Gallup survey, just 21% say it's a good time to buy a house. That is tied with last year for the worst reading in Gallup history. Meanwhile, 76% say it's a bad time to buy. That's just below last year's record of 78%. These findings reflect the affordability issue in the housing market. Young Americans looking to buy a home are facing record high prices and painfully high mortgage rates. Meanwhile, the federal government reports first-time applications for jobless benefits also rose last week to 231,000. That's the highest level since August. And it's another sign the white-hot labor market is starting to cool off. Thursday's data also showed the number of continuing claims or applications from people who have filed for unemployment for at least 1 week, and that was nearly 1.8 million. That's an increase of 17,000 from the week prior. Well, this morning, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and the Transportation Department will hear from airlines, unions, and consumer advocates to see if those credit card reward programs are actually working for those consumers. NBC Business and Data correspondent Brian Chung has the details.
It's an offer that's hard to turn down, flipping those everyday purchases into your next getaway. But today, those airline credit cards deals are under scrutiny. Lauren Randall applied for an airline credit card after seeing a sign-up bonus offer for 40,000 points. Hours later, seeing another offer for 60,000.
It does kind of feel like a bait and switch.
She's one of the 41% of Americans with a travel rewards credit card, part of the booming economy for points, scoring flights that would otherwise have expensive price tags in dollars. Signing up for a card among one of the quickest ways to rack up points. But some consumers are finding the headache of accumulating and then redeeming points more trouble than it's worth. Federal regulators, including the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, are listening.
We've seen where consumers have had to run through an obstacle course to get the rewards that they were promised.
With annual fees as high as $650 and interest rates above the national average, airline cards this morning are the subject of a hearing to see if consumers are really coming out on top.
Credit card companies are charging huge interest rates, sometimes 30% or more. And many consumers actually lose out on these deals. They may be paying way more than the value of the awards that they accrue.
Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg saying the stakes are high with Americans valuing points like their savings.
But unlike your cash savings, a company can change the value of these points anytime for any reason.
Airlines, meanwhile, say that their partnerships with banks allow airlines to reward their most loyal customers. Randall says she was denied the extra point bonus on her new airline credit card.
The juice may not necessarily be worth the squeeze.
Well, it's a big weekend for lei and flowers with Mother's Day and graduation ceremonies. Casey Lund went to Watanabe Floral to check out how they're preparing for the rush.
Aloha from Kalihi. Watanabe Floral, always a reliable place to go. If you're waiting up to the last minute to get something, they're always going to have something on hand. But word to the wise, they are starting to fill those last-minute delivery slots both Friday and Saturday. So get that taken care of if you need it delivered. But you can also come down here to the store and talk about the hours in just a minute. I'm here with Monty Pereira, the general manager for Watanabe Floral. Always grateful to be here and showcase what's new, what's exciting. We're going to talk trends and like some of the things that surprised me about Mother's Day. But I wanted to take a minute to showcase, and I know that you guys always lift up our local producers, local makers. Tell me a little bit about Eden in Love.
Yeah, so we've been partnering with Tana and her gang at Eden in Love for a couple of years now. It started with just tote bags. They created a special Watanabe Floral bag, as you can see here. Tons of other different varieties of bags, but now they do everything. I mean, from coasters to mouse pads to cups to bigger bags to coolers, they do everything. So it's a great partnership to have. They have an online business, so we have a physical location that allows us to sell many of their non-exclusive products.
Very cool.
So we're excited about that.
And we have a link to their website as well as yours at HawaiiNewsNow.com. I wanted to ask you, though, we come here on Valentine's Day. It's always fun to show just how busy things get. I know you guys take this seriously. You're helping people make memories and give something really special to the people that they love, which is an important job. I wanted to ask you, though, what's the difference between a holiday like Valentine's Day versus Mother's Day in terms of who's shopping?
Yeah, so those are the two biggest floral holidays of the year. One, Valentine's Day is predominantly a male-dominated purchasing experience with about 80 to 90% of what you sell being roses. At Mother's Day, it's 60 to 70% female shoppers. It's women buying for their mom, their mother-in-law, their grandma, their sisters, or all kinds of people. So you see a lot more variety at Mother's Day than you do at Valentine's Day, because what men don't really realize is that when women buy for each other, they buy things that are not roses.
You don't have to do roses.
Yes.
You can find a lot of different things down here, different floral arrangements and gifts as well. All right, Monty, so let's put the hours up on the screen. You guys are open till 4 today. Tell me about Friday, Saturday. Friday?
Friday will be open from 8 to 5, so hour earlier, hour later, and then on Saturday, 8 to 6.
Very good. And then speaking of a busy weekend, graduation's also happening. You got people covered here as well.
Yeah, the UH system graduates, the community colleges on Friday, UH Manoa on Saturday. We've got all of your lei needs, floral lei and non-floral lei, something for the graduate for sure.
Very good. And then, of course, closed on Sunday, like Monty said, might be a good opportunity to take mom to brunch. If you missed any of those details, we have everything online at HawaiiNewsNow.com. We'll send things back into the studio for now.
Thank you, Case. Busy weekend ahead. So this is so good, you guys. So normally the most surprising part of a gender reveal is the gender reveal, but not for a couple in Pearl City. If you haven't seen this yet, keep your eye on the friend in the front row.
2, 1.
It's a boy, and that couldn't be more apparent to Lila Wong there in the
So
front
sorry,
row.
sis.
She got sprayed in the face with the blue powder over the weekend. Thankfully, I think it's just cornstarch and some dye.
Still.
But oh my goodness.
And one of the guys on the side is our Zach Kalamo, who works on High Now. And this video has blown up
It is
ever
so
since.
good.
Tragically hilarious, I would call it. But congratulations to the couple.
Yes, that's right. Thanks for watching, everyone.